So the other day I was triggered, which still happens. And I think that's important to say that when we say heal emotional triggers, we don't mean that you don't get these ripples of things that happen and you have a response inside the body when something goes on. It's not like you become this cold person that doesn't feel life. It means that you heal the the degree to which the triggers have hijacked you and taken over and wreaked havoc on your physiology and made you say and do things you didn't mean and incapacitated you or rendered you debilitated with anxiety, and that can be healed. But you'll still feel things. There's still things that are in your psyche, in your astrology, in your karma, in your family constellation that will touch you in a certain way. And so I was triggered in a conversation with a friend, and I didn't lash out, which is great for me because that used to be what I would do. I didn't lash out, and I also didn't numb out. So no chocolate chip cookies. Um, and I thought I didn't check out either. And that took me a little while to figure out that I was actually checking out in a certain way. I said all the right things. I said all the right things that you would want to say if you were really a cool, calm cucumber. But I wasn't really feeling what was sort of going on because inside I was busy not reacting and not what I really wanted to do is get off the call. I didn't want to be in the situation. So I was like, how can I navigate this so I can just like get out of here? And when you're really sort of dropped into presence with another person where both of you are fully there, you don't want to escape. It's beautiful. So if you want to escape, it's because that's not where you're at. And I wanted to get off the call so I could like go lick my wounds and nurture myself. And I think that can be totally appropriate. But then it's a conscious decision to say, I'm triggered. There's something I have to process here, and I think I need to get off this call. But I wasn't doing that. I was sort of acting as though I was fine without being fine. And not even completely owning the fact that I was not fine, but rather just kind of speaking the spiritual language around it. And as we moved through this conversation, which ended up being quite long, I moved into that deeper layer of vulnerability, and that required a softening. So initially, if there's something that wants to act out and you're like, okay, I do not want to lash out, like that's sort of step one. I don't want to lash out or try to change somebody else here. I want to contain it. That containing it can be a little bit of a contraction sometimes, and that's not where you really want to be. You want to be where you can be really soft inside. See, and even as I say that, I can feel there's a little contraction in my body, even talking about it, and I have to like kind of shed a layer. And there kind of went, and I feel a little softer in the chest and belly again. But so as we're moving through this conversation, and it was a non-threatening environment because this was a very dear friend who was very loving and kind and who could sense it too, who wanted to get underneath like where you're really at, what's really going on, who could sense that I was you know maybe spouting off some spiritual ego stuff rather than being vulnerable. And as the conversation progressed, I got into that softer space. And in that space, there was some sadness, and there was some fear, and it was old stuff, and it was new stuff, and it was much more real. And there were tears, but those tears didn't come from, they were not hijacked by the pain body that would want to spew at the other person like angry tears. And they were not wallowing either. They were just feeling what was really in the body, what was really happening there. And that was from this very soft, tender place that made my friend cry too. Because when I or anyone is in that genuinely vulnerable space, it's almost impossible not to empathize and not to have compassion, because that space is so human. It's sort of who we all are at the core, underneath all the cool facades. We have that soft center that really needs to be held and loved and heard and belonging and feel safe and feel loved. And anything that smacks of anything less than that hurts. And what we can then tend to do is like demand that the other person jump in and make us feel all those things, because when we were little babies or little children, wah wah, I mean, that's what we did. Come, make me feel safe, make me feel held, make me feel loved, make me feel warm. And we didn't have the capacity to ask for that in any other way. We still need that as much as we ever did, but now we are individualized, and we learn to some degree give that to ourselves, but we also want to be with people who can give us that, but they don't always know how. And they might say something that we interpret as, I'm not safe now, I don't belong now, I'm not loved now. See, there's my baby. And that will throw us off. And when we can be super real in that place, suddenly there's an opening, a soul opening, a heart opening, that for whatever reason we're so scared to go there, when that is where love is truly invited in. Not when we are whining or wallowing or angry, but when we're just in that soft inner space, we invite someone else to open their soft inner space, and this deep human soul connection is suddenly there. And I've seen myself do that before, where I have so much language for these things that it's very easy to just want to sort of bypass the vulnerability step and just go straight to the step where I'm beyond the vulnerability, and now I can just say and do the right thing, that where I don't have to deal with the deepest layer of the trigger, really. So I think that is, as you move through your Heal What Hurts process and learn to manage your triggers, contain it when you're upset, and not spew at the other person, and not reach for a numbing agent, that sort of last step, where you don't numb out, don't check out, rather, that's a difficult one, because there can be a time when it's really appropriate to say, I love you, but I need space right now. I need to process this, which would have been a totally appropriate thing for me to say. And at that point, I would have also been honest about the fact that there was a trigger. It was like, I didn't even want the other person to know that there was a trigger. And I think that is because there is so much shame associated with our triggers for all of us. So that deep, vulnerable place is where we want to go with our closest friends and with our one special partner, and our children, and the ones close with everyone, really, is probably where we'd love to go. And that's the work we do together in the Heal What Hurts process, that you can check out below. Look at the courses I'm offering, where you learn to do this work. And as you can see, I'm a work in progress, and you're a work in progress. And I think that's a really important point, is that life is school, and the triggers of life will come at us from expected and unexpected sides and people. And we constantly have an opportunity to refine the degree to which we become real and authentic about what's really going on deep inside, and allowing others to know us and to know how tender we really are. And when we allow ourselves to be that tender, we are invited into their tender space. Who wants somebody cool, calm, and collected who never feels anything to come visit our most tender space, how would they ever understand, right? So that's really the invitation to continuously peel away the layers here. So I'd love to work with you. This is my favorite work in the world. I feel like it's what stands between us and just about anything we really truly want in life, are these old negative patterns that we carry around, but that really can be dissolved if we know the tools and use them. So I would love to see you. Contact me if you want to hear details about the different course offerings. And I'm sure we can find one that is just right for you and where you're at and how much time you have to put into it.